Hi, my name is Sureshdhawan, and today I'm going to talk about how do we influence people who, what I call impossible people, right? So what type of people are these? These are people who tell you things like, no, Suresh, that's not possible. Suresh, your ideas just don't make sense. No. There's only one way to do this, and this is this way, which is basically their way. So as I'm telling you all this, I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, there are a few of these people in my life. So how do we deal and influence or attempt to persuade or convince these people? So I'm going to introduce to you this method called the both sides of the coin method. Yeah. So this is how it works. So let's say somebody goes on and explains to you, so I think we should do this because of whatever reason. And your job now is, after listening to it, now you might be thinking, okay, that doesn't make sense to me. But obviously it makes sense to them, right? So what we do is we listen first. Every communication skills expert will tell you listening first is what we need to do. So yeah, fine. Listen first. Now, after you listen, your next job is this: acknowledge their point of view. And this is what I would say. I would say, okay, I can see where you're coming from. I get how you came up with this conclusion based on how you read the data. All right. So, can I share with you my point of view? Because I see this differently. So now what you're doing is you're introducing the other side of the coin. So when they look at you, what do you mean you see this differently? The data speaks by itself, Suresh. So yeah, okay, agreed. The data is the data. However, you interpret the data in a particular way. So I heard what you said. So just give me a few minutes. My magic number is 2 minutes. 2 minutes sounds like it's a short period of time. People tend to want to give you 2 minutes. So give me 2 minutes. Let me let you know, or let me share with you what I think about this data. All right. So now you go on. Now as you go on, the other side is now trying to process what you're talking about. Now there are people, once they listen to what you have to say, it might make sense or it might not make sense. Now if it makes sense, job done. But if it doesn't make sense, now this is what might happen. So as you're speaking, you're talking, you're explaining, now they interrupt you, right? So when they interrupt you, what do? You say, okay, right, so just hear me out. So that's what you do. Now you continue speaking, and well, they hear you out, and now they say, no, not possible. What you're saying, Suresh, totally does not make sense, because there's no other way of looking at this. So now when they say that to you, you're like, okay, so there's no other way of looking at it. So are you saying that there's only one way of looking at this data? Yeah. So now you use the magic word. So this is what you do. So you tell the person, all right, I just want you to think about this. I understand where you got your interpretation from, how you see this, how you deciphered it. I understand. I get it. But is it possible? So this is the magic word. Possible. Is it possible, just possible, that there may be another way of looking at this data? Is that possible? Now, some of them now would say, well, if you say, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But that doesn't mean it's right. You say, okay, it's not about right and wrong. I'm not saying that you are wrong and I'm right. No, I'm just asking you, is it possible? So now you see the approach. I am asking you. So when you're asking, it's a bit softer. When you're telling, it's different. If I were to tell him or her, I would say this. No. Okay, you listen to me right now. When I say you listen to me right now, I'm telling you, I'm ordering you, I'm instructing you. So these are simple things that cause conflicts. Are we okay? So now as that person is telling me there's no other way, I'm going to ask them, is it possible? Now if it's not possible, are you saying that there's only one way of looking at this? So when you hit people like this, when you reach people who are only like, there's only one way, now your job is use the mutual goal, or what is this discussion about? Now let's say it's about a client. So then I would say this. I'll say, okay, so you have your point of view. Now I've just given you another point of view. Yeah, but Suresh, your other point of view doesn't make sense. So I say, just play with me, just play along. Let's say when we present this data to the client, to management, out of that 7 of them, let's say 1 or 2 also see the data the way I just explained to you. Then what do we do? To think about what's the real goal here, right? What's the real goal? Because a lot of people are stuck in their own ways, right? They only see what they see, or they only see what they want to see. Like we've heard of this word or this term called selective listening. So people just in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we say people do three things. Yeah, they generalize, they delete, and they distort. So as we speak to them, that's how their mind, or anyone's mind for that matter, computes, processes, digests information. So, but the moment you get them out of themselves, saying that is it possible, and think about the goal. What's the goal here right now? It's not about proving that you're right or that you're wrong, or that I'm right, that I'm wrong. It's about how can we use this for the benefit of the team or for the benefit of the goal. So that's how we're going to use this. Now, the moment you ask them, okay, let's say out of that 7, 1 or 2 of them think this way, then what do we do? Now they're forced to think. Right? They're forced to think. Now, some of them will even say this. Yeah, but Suresh, even if they do come up with some different, funny, bizarre way of interpreting this, that's wrong. Right? And they shouldn't come up with it. They must be stupid. Now, so how would I respond? I would say this. Well, whether they are stupid or not, or right or wrong, but they did come up with this type of interpretation. So now what do we do? So is it possible? Is it possible that that is probably going to happen? Not probably, but is it possible that it might happen? Yeah, but very remote. Fine. Even if it's very remote, 5% chance, 10% chance, right? 90% chance it won't happen, fine. But if that 10% does happen, what do we need to do right now? So now that person has to think again. So should we now be prepared, right? Be prepared just in case something like that happens. Or should we then actually analyze how is it that people can interpret this data in a way which you might not be able to see, them interpret. Should we do that right now? Yeah, okay, fine. So now what has happened, guys? What has happened? From somebody who is this closed up, right? This closed up, slowly as you acknowledge, the moment you listen and acknowledge, it loosens up that barrier, right? It loosens up. Now, when you say, I can see where you're coming from, you're acknowledging them even more. Yeah, okay, it's a valid point of view. You're loosening up that again. Then when you use the magic word, is it possible? Now, the possibility creates possibility. See that small little hole there? Yeah. You create possibilities. So when you say possible, it's not threatening because it's possible or not possible. But anything is possible, right? So that gives or allows them to give you room to slowly seep in some of your ideas. But if there is a direct confrontation, no, yes, right, wrong, that's where both try to prove their points. And what's happening is we are attacking the other side's ego. That side's attacking our ego. So if you're going to be a good influencer, a good communicator, try using both sides of the coin, especially when you hit those impossible people. Right? Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.